Today we are going to go through the market from last month, July. July numbers are in. Just to confirm, if everyone knows how to get to InfoSparks market stats, you log into the MLS. Instead of clicking matrix, you click market stats. That's what it says. Click market stats. And this is where all this is. So on the first day of the month, it captures data so you see here July of 26. So the first day of every month it captures it. Over the first week or two, the numbers kind of adjust. So they normally adjust down a little bit. So if you look at it one month and go to the next month and look backwards, they're not going to be exactly the same. So some of these statistics I give you might be off a little bit if you look back at them. But the market data kind of adjusts as closings come in and as stuff like that happens. So again, the importance of this, I say it every month, so I'll say it again, hopefully burn it in everyone's brain. Everyone can feel what happens in the market. Good agents know what's happening in the market. Great agents can explain what's happening in the market. And that's where you can get buyers and sellers off the fence. You can get buyers and sellers, you can influence them to making the right decisions when it comes to pricing or writing offers. You can have influence over people if you are able to explain what's happening in the market. If you're just like giving it your gut feeling, that makes people uncomfortable. So being able to explain what happened and why your advice is what's going to allow you to be an influential agent and actually influence your clients into doing the right thing, into helping them get out of their own way. Sometimes we have to help people get out of their own way so they can make a good decision. And so understanding what's happening in the market's a big piece of that. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of go along the line here. So you'll see the graph. Whenever you first open it up, it'll look like this. So I've just kind of hidden the criteria and hidden this little thing too. So you can adjust this by years. You can go back over the past 12 months, 3 years, 5 years, and max. So I normally look at a 3-year period. So we're going to start first with sales, median sales price. We're still as high as we've really ever been. We're up here. Even during the COVID area, our median sales price is still higher than it's ever been. So we're not seeing any sort of price softening. We're seeing softening. We're not seeing any sort of price crash by any means. We're seeing a plateau of pricing. It's consistent with this time of year as well. As we move into fall, there's just going to be less activity and prices are going to, you see the normal ebbs and flows of a normal market, right? So in the fall, things aren't going to sell for as much. In the spring, it's going to be hotter. You're going to get more multiple offers, more increased price, that kind of stuff. So we're seeing it plateau a little bit. We normally see things start to dip late July and August. School starts back up. Then you have fall trips. Then you have the fair comes to town, which always throws everything off for some reason. And so you just kind of start to see a little more blips throughout the market. So we're seeing median price stay plateau a little bit, stay consistent, nothing crazy there. But even as you hear the things I'm about to tell you here in a minute, don't look good. They're not as good as I might like or hope. But we're not. There's two markers that kind of show you that we're really not in a bad market. One of them is price points staying consistent. Median price is staying consistent. The other thing is days on market. Median days on market is staying consistent as well and not going through the roof. So price being consistent, days on market being consistent tells us that there's still an active market. It's just inventory is growing, outpacing demand. So I'll show you that here in a second. So median prices are steady. They're as high as they've ever been, and they're steady. That's all we need to know about prices. We're not having any kind of crash. We're not seeing huge price cuts. We're not seeing anything like that. New listings coming on. So this is where, this is kind of what's caused this abnormality in inventory is we're having record-breaking new listings every month. There are more listings coming on for the past 3 months than we've ever had in the history of Oklahoma City, even during COVID. So you see here, we just have the most new listings coming on ever. So I think it's a couple things. I think sellers are finally maybe wrapping their head around interest rates and ready to move out of their house and buy. I think there are a lot of people who are afraid to do anything for a couple years, and that's finally uncoiling a little bit. There's just a couple things that I think people were stuck in their house longer than they wanted to. You see closed sales, kind of fall off a cliff in 23. I think those people who would have been buying in 23 maybe, or in 24 maybe, are finally kind of coming out of hiding and starting to get into this market. So we're seeing more listings come on than we've ever seen in the history of the MLS. So supply, when we look at anything, we look at supply and demand. Supply is slowly outpacing demand, meaning there's more sellers wanting to sell than there is buyers wanting to buy. And so we're seeing more listings than we've ever seen. So we'll talk about kind of what this means and how we can talk about this here in a minute. But we're seeing record new listings. The last several months in a row have all been record, never seen as many ever. So because of that, homes for sale is setting records as well. You're seeing more homes, just total homes on the market. This is just a crazy graph. I mean, just a normal kind of good market. Oklahoma City's an expanding market, a growing market. We get the thunder around here and things starting to look good in Oklahoma City. It's a good market. COVID hits, we have no listings, nothing to buy, and then we just kind of slowly start to see inventory climbing. But it's climbing at a rate that it's never climbed before because we have more listings than we've ever had before. And demand just isn't keeping up with it yet, or isn't keeping up with it. So record new listings, record homes for sale. Now the other side of that is the demand side, the pendings and the closes. So new listings and homes for sale is the supply, pending and closed is the demand. So are buyers buying it at the rate that sellers are wanting to sell? And the answer is no. We were pacing really, really well during the spring. So May and June, we had record March, April, and May, we had record pending deals. It was pacing with it really well through, so people who were getting pre-approved in like January, February, when rates were as low as they've been in 3 years, then we started a war and rates shot back up. So you saw those people actually buy stuff. So you saw March was a record month, except for 1 or 2 months during COVID. So buyers came out heavy in the spring, and they stuck around in the spring, and we're seeing them tail off earlier in the summer than we normally do. Normally we see them tail off in August, but we're already kind of seeing them tail off. You saw in May, June, and July. So we had a big surge early in the spring, most likely due to rates being in the 5s for like 3 weeks. And then again, we started a war. So pending deals are kind of stagnant. They've been around 2,300 pendings per month the last 3 months. Problem is we're bringing on 3,400, 3,600 transactions a month, or new listings a month. So every month for the last 3 months, we're adding about 1,200 houses to our inventory. We're bringing on 3,500. We're only selling about 2,300. So there's just another 1,000 to 1,200 every month just hitting the market. And that's something we're going to talk about with sellers, why timing is important. Because the longer we wait, demand's not going to spike in September. It's just not. It's just, unless rates fall for whatever reason, demand's just not going to spike. Demand is going to slowly taper off like it does every fall. So unless supply slowly tapers off, by the time next spring comes around, we could have 10,000 plus, 5.5, 6 months of inventory coming onto the market. That's not bad. It's a different market. It's not a bad market, but it's a different market that we have to navigate. So timing is really, really important for a seller. If I could sell right now, but I might wait till next spring, there might be 2,000-3,000 extra listings next spring, unless something really changes. Or we sell it now where homes priced well are still selling really quickly. We'll talk about that in a second. So timing is going to be important because we don't know what's going to happen over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months. But we do know supply is still outpacing demand, record supply. Now I have to assume there's only so many houses in Oklahoma, so eventually the supply is going to hit some sort of tipping point where it can't sustain, because these people are moving somewhere, and they're not leaving the state. They're moving to other homes. So I don't know if these are investment homes selling. I don't know. So normally we have a pretty good equilibrium in Oklahoma. We don't have a lot of out-of-town investors buying vacation homes or stuff like that, but a bunch of investments. It's been pretty steady. So you see about 3,600 new listings every month and about 2,400 pendings a month. So we're just not keeping up with new listings. And then you look at closed. Pending is a leading indicator of closed. As we see pendings fall, you should expect closed to fall, but we had a big unusual jump from 2,500 down to 2,300 in July, even though we had an increase in pendings from May to June. So that's I'm sure that will adjust over the next few weeks as stuff gets updated in the MLS. But closed deals fell off, 200 less closed deals this month than last month. So demand is clearly cooling. We were having record demand and record supply for about 2 or 3 months, and now the demand is slowing off. Buyers are not keeping up with sellers so far, the last 30, 45 days. So the days on market, this is kind of one of the two bright spots, I'll say, or not bright spots, but counterintuitive spots, is we're having incredible amounts of supply, inventory like we've never seen in the history of Oklahoma City, but houses are still selling pretty quickly at 23 days on market. So what that shows you, again, we talked about this last week, homes that are priced correctly and are marketed well, that have make-readies done to them, that have the wall painted that should be painted, the carpet replaced, the garden spruced up, all those things, when you prepare your home for sale and you price it correctly, it still sells as fast as it's been selling for the last several years. What that means is all these extra 1,200 houses coming on the market, or these extra 3,600 houses that are coming on the market, the ones that are priced right are still selling. It's the ones that are not priced right that are sitting, causing the inventory to inflate. And so one thing I wrote down is, this new market is not changing whether or not the home's going to sell. It's whether or not the overpriced home is going to sell. And we are now out of that market. We are out of the market where overpriced homes are still getting offers and still selling. We're to the point now where when you look at month supply, remember if you've been coming to these for any amount of time, this little line right here, 4 months is the threshold between a seller's market and a balanced market. So let me see if this goes up. Kinda. So everything under 4 months is a seller's market. Everything from 4 to 6 is a balanced market. Everything above 6 is a buyer's market. So again, there's a difference between a crash and a buyer's market. You can be in a buyer's market without being in any sort of tailspin. But normally where you want to be at is going to be kind of in that 3 to 5 is probably a healthy place to be. Under 3, you have some absurdities going on, like we were experiencing during COVID. And above 5, you probably just have a little bit more caution in the market that you have to overcome. People move slower. For a real estate agent, we want people to move fast, not too fast, but we want urgency. You get above 5 and buyers start to lose urgency, there's just more options. People are more careful not to make a bad decision. During COVID, if you bought a house, next month it's worth $10,000 more for some reason. And the next month it's worth $10,000 more, and then $10,000 more, and you had 50 grand in equity at the end of the year for no reason. So you could make a bad decision and still be safe. In a balanced market or a buyer's market, home values aren't going to rise as quickly as they did. So a place I'd like to be is kind of this 3 to 5. Around 4 is good. So it's trending. So we can't see into the future, so we don't know what it's going to be in December or next spring. But month supply has officially, it was 4.1 last month and it adjusted down to 4. But 2 months in a row we've been over 4 now, at or above 4. So I think it's safe to say we are officially in a balanced market. We're on the bottom end of it. We're on the seller side of a balanced market, but we are with where new listings and homes for sale is trending and where pendings and closed are trending, they're going the opposite direction. So I think it's safe to say we are pretty comfortably officially in a balanced market. So that just, again, the conversations that you have with your clients are going to be different. And that's kind of what this little sheet is for. We'll talk about that in a second. Shows to pending, kind of same thing, pretty consistent. Days on market, shows to pending, all that's pretty consistent. So it's telling you homes that are priced right, homes that are prepared for the market and marketed right, sell like normal. Nothing to worry about. And you might have seen us do that. I didn't do this month because I did it 2 months in a row and it was the same every time. Oh man, the graphic's gone. Does everyone know what graphic I'm talking about? I'm going to show you anyway. Wait. So this is one of the graphs that we had. So that's not right though. This is the one. So the last 2 months I ran, so in May and June, I ran a trailing 6-month data to see of homes that had a price correction, how many days have they been on the market, and homes that did not have a price correction, how many days they've been on the market. So you see, if they have not had a price drop, they sold in approximately 41 days. If they did have a price drop, they sold in about 101 days. So this shows your sellers, price it right, and this is a different one. I don't know why that, this is the third one I did. I think this was new construction. It was 23 is what it was. And then like 90 something, I think, like 93, 90. We'll say that's what it was. The graph, the data doesn't matter. The graph shows you what it is. Essentially, again, price your home right. We can expect it to sell on the average days on market, and not even right. I think this is what's important. I was going to talk about this at the end too. Normally, I like to run comps in the last 3 months, and if I can't find good comps, I'll go back 6 months. I don't like going back past 6 because every market's just 6 months is a long time. So I would say it's probably unsafe to go back past 90 days when you're looking at comps. The market, you're seeing 90 days ago, we had 3,000, almost 3,800 less listings on the market than we do now. So 90 days ago is a different market than it was now. We had 3.5 months of inventory. Now we've got 4.2. It's trending in a completely different direction. And you go back 6 months, when there's 3,000 less houses and it's spring and people have a pre-approval letter with a 5% interest rate, it's a different, you can't comp houses like you did back then. So I think 60, 90 days is about as far as I'd like to go back. If we have to, we have to, but I would explain that this one comp that we're using sold when interest rates were at 5.75. And there was 3,000 less houses. So this one's got an asterisk next to it. Does that make sense? So I would really like our comps to be pretty 90 days or less if I'm doing comps. If we're depending on comps that are, again, 6 months, 7, 8 months old, it's different. So as we're having these conversations and you're talking to your seller and your seller says my neighbor sold in last November for this or whatever. Last November, again, we had 3,000-4,000 less homes on the market. And interest rates were in the low 6s. Now we're in the mid 6s and we have 9,000 houses on the market. Different market. Even though it was November and now is July or August, just completely different. The dynamics and the economics were completely different. So that's why I would put more emphasis, if you're doing like a weighted average, comps from the last 90 days are going to be more impactful. Sold comps from the last 90 days are going to be more impactful than a sold comp from 5 or 6 months ago. So that's kind of the conversation we need to be having with sellers is we want to really condense our timeline of what we're looking at to make sure we're pricing it right so that we can be in this column and not that column. Really easy. It's a fine line to figure out which column you're going to be in. But that's the important. And that's why you can create this, draw this, get on Canva and create it, whatever. I would love to show people this graphic if I'm sitting in front of a seller because this really, really tells. And it's which one do you want to be in? And then you can, when you're having your conversation, you can keep pointing at it and which one do we want to be in? We can be in this one, that's fine. If you want to wait 90 days and drop the price 10, 15 grand, we can do that too. I just want to make sure you know what I'm seeing. This is what the market's done over the last 90 days. And it just, now they're knowingly making a bad decision. And you're showing them how it's a bad decision, hoping they're going to get lucky. The time to get lucky was when there was 5,000 houses on the market, not 9,000 houses on the market. Again, the new market is not, is my home going to sell? It's, is my overpriced home going to sell? And the answer is no, because homes priced right are still going to sell. They are selling. So that's kind of where I think, again, shows to pendings and shows to pending and days on market are showing us that the market's not dead, it's not dying. Supply just keeps outpacing demand, and appropriately priced homes are selling. So important to kind of explain these things to our seller. Questions with these graphs or numbers? Thoughts? Yes.
I remember you used to put an average more frequently. Is there a reason why median? Is there one that's better in your opinion?
Median average is skewed more by, does everyone understand the basic, the
Yes.
difference between median and average? So average is going to be skewed more by a one outlier.
Extreme.
Yes, one extreme. So I normally liked the average too, but when you have,
The entire MLS.
yeah, and when you have these differences now, one house that sat on the market for 400 days closes, that average for that month is going to be skewed disproportionately. So median's going to limit that. It's going to limit the, what's the word?
Variance.
Deviation. I think, yeah, it's gonna limit that. So I took stat in college one time. I didn't do very well.
You excelled at graphs.
I did. Canva. They didn't teach Canva in college. I would have passed that class. So I've kind of, when looking at price, or when looking at sales price, days on market, that kind of stuff, median's going to give you a little more consistent. You're not going to have the ebbs and the flows quite extreme. You know, it goes from 60 down to 30. This one's 40 down to yeah. So I mean, it's going to be a little more consistent, I think. I think you look at it, zoom out enough, and you're going to have the same trends. But I think.
Or real-time data.
I think, yeah, no one piece is going to skew you. I don't think. So, good question. What else? Is anyone scared? Is anyone excited? Is anyone confused? Is anyone? What's everyone's thought to this?
Currently sucks.
What?
Currently sucks.
Currently sucks. Currently less desirable. I don't know, man. I would.
I say that, I'm having my best year.
That's right. What are you talking about? So, I think
Yeah, exactly. That's realistic.
one thing I heard someone say a long time ago, and it's true, is the market doesn't determine how much business you do, just how you do business. So when we have been in terrible markets, there are people selling 50, 100 houses a year, whatever, make up your number. And then when we're in great markets, there are people doing that. So the market share is out there. The average agent is the one who gets swept out with the tide, you know, the one who's not educated on what's happening, the one who's not educating themselves, the one who's letting the market happen to them. They're the ones who get in and out of the industry. When the market's up, they get in. When the market's down, they get out. They can't have these conversations with sellers, with buyers. Those are the average agents who struggle. The agent who is out creating opportunity, creating transactions, out just building that, doing those things they're supposed to be doing, those people are fine. Maybe they sell one home less this year, maybe whatever, but guess what? The median price is up, 20%. So one less home, I make about the same amount of money, right? Or maybe I sell a bigger one. So I like to remind people that I used to sell homes. This is when I had my biggest year, when 153 was the median. So
When I went to school, I had to walk uphill.
yeah, uphill both ways. That's exactly right. We didn't even have the MLS. So when a new agent comes in and complains about their first $325,000 deal, their first deal, I was like, get out of here. My first deal was $35,000 fixer-upper. I got 1% on it. It's a FSBO.
Actually, you got half of that.
Yeah, I got half of that. Company got the other half. Copper Creek didn't exist back then, unfortunately. So again, it's like you could look at any market and say, oh man, the market sucks because of this, or the market's awesome because of that. There are still closed sales. I mean, there's still anywhere from 1,500 to 2,500 transactions every single month. In a bad month, you'll have 1,500. In a great month, you'll have 25 plus 100. There is more than enough to go around, and that's consolidated across like 200 agents maybe. And so there's so much out there to go around, and it's just the opportunity's out there. People are having. You don't need to sell 50 houses a month. You need 1 or 2 or 3 houses a month for an incredible income when you have a 100% commission split in a $300,000 average sales price home. So they're out there to be had. The transactions are still happening. Again, we're really in, when you look at actual transaction count, we're really in like 2019 range, which 2018, 2019 range, 2018, 2019 were great years. Normal, very good years, transaction count wise. So the city is in a much better and different spot than it was, 8, 9 years ago when we were in. It's just like, there's a lot going for Oklahoma City. There's a lot going for real estate. New construction's high. There's a bunch. I'm a firm believer in, if you think the market's bad, it's bad, and if you think the market's good, it's good. And so it's crazy. 2 agents in the same company, in the same city, and the same everything. One could be crushing, and one could be doing terrible. And it all has to do with your own mindset and your own ability to go out and create business for yourself. And so I think that's, I'm kind of getting off this now. Sorry, let's get back on this. We'll talk about that in a minute. So yeah, any questions? One other thing to look at, again, I hesitate to even show you this because it's not great. Just looking at 3-year. But again, I think you need to know. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, grab 2. We get. Oh yeah, there you go. Thank you. Get one of Rachel too. This is a mortgage applications. So again, the blue is mortgage applications. The orange line is interest rates. Again, both trending in not great direction. Applications are trending down. Mortgage rates are trending up. But again, they're all within, they're consistent. They're pretty consistent and steady. I suspect they'll continue to be in the mid 6s for the remainder of the year. I don't anticipate anything changing. With rates, it's not necessarily what the rate is that I think drives buyer consumer action. I think it's the volatility of the rate that drives consumer activity. So if the rate's 6.5, that's what it is. People are going to buy homes and sell homes at 6.5. If it's 7.5 one week, 6.5 the next week, 5.9 one week, 8, that's what creates hesitation, and that's what creates fear in the market. Because there was a time where in 2022 when rates were just going to the moon, you'd get pre-approved and you'd have a 4. By the time you found your house, you're at 5.75. 45 days later. And so that volatility is what creates panic in the market. People just sit on the sidelines. So consistency, people can at least plan around consistency. Again, our market's so much driven by the 5 Ds, that just the life, just people needing to move, buy and sell houses. We're not driven so much by external factors. So as long as we can have some consistent rates, people will buy and sell if they can plan around their rate. Affordability is a problem, obviously, as long as that doesn't continue to get out of control. But again, consistency is, I think, what gets people off the fence more than just looking for a low rate. I don't think that's what people want. I think they more than anything want consistency. If they see the same number for a couple of months in a row, they can wrap their head around that and they can get into the market.
I've got a client in a contract right now, and he was freaking out about the rates. And he's a used car salesman, like owning their own dealership. And I was like, dude, no, but like the rate doesn't matter. It's the monthly payment.
Yeah.
He's like, man, now that you think about it, we consistently sell cars at like 21%
Yeah,
rate.
yeah.
And no one cares. They're just buying a car because they want a payment.
Yeah. People just rates beat into their head.
But literally, he was like, no, man, the rates are all. I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter. What do you
Yeah.
want to pay for?
Tell Yeah. I mean, the only time something like that might matter is like if I'm moving out of my $400,000 house, and now because where the rates are at, I can't get a better home for the same payment. Ideally, I'd increase my payment a little bit and get a bigger home. Well, now my payment's going to go up a ton for the same home. That's where people stay on the sideline. But yeah, I mean, all it comes down to is monthly obligation. You know, making sure you can cover that. But whether it's 18% interest or 2% interest, if you can afford it monthly, that's what you need to be looking at. Unless you think rates are going to fall in the near future to a point, a meaningful amount where I can afford a $50,000 more house, but they're just not. They're not going to. Volatility is not going to be that with which it can happen.
And if they do, that 50,000 is scoops up by the price of the house.
It's being scooped up, or you're seeing demand increase surge, and then now that house isn't there anymore because someone else bought it. So yeah, it's that's what, you know, when there's an investing saying that time in the market is better than timing the market. And I think the idea is if you need to buy a home, you can afford the home, you want the home, you can justify the quality of life, you can make the payment, buy the home. If you missed a home that's going to be perfect for you and your family and your kids because rates were at 6.25 instead of 5.79, how silly is that? I mean, how stupid is that? It's just so if you need to buy a home and you can afford the home, buy the home. Don't try to be some day trading investing wizard in time rates. That's not what we're doing here. We're buying a consumable product that you can't quantify the enjoyability of your home. And so if you can afford it and you need it and you want it and it accomplishes what you want it to accomplish, then buy it. Don't get caught up in the details. Unless for some reason you think you're going to have to move in 12 months or in 18 months or in 24 months, you're going to have to move, whatever, job instability, whatever, you know, don't buy the house. But if you're going to be here and you want to be here for 5 to 10 plus years, that rate is negligible by the time it's all done. And if it falls, refinance it. So it's just kind of it's important, obviously, you want to weigh it, but everyone else is operating in the same rate environment as you are. So if you need the home, buy the home. Or if you want the home, buy the home. That's what some people are just so driven by that. It's hard to get them over that. But that's kind of what I always have to explain to them is, you know, don't try to be a day trader here and shave points off a rate. The good thing, and one thing I want to talk about with talking points with the buyer is, as we get into this balanced market, you're going to have more opportunity for concessions than you would have, 6 months ago or a year ago. And concessions can be used for rate buy downs. So there's opportunity to get yourself into a more affordable and more desirable payment because there's 9,000 listings now. Another 1,200 are coming on every single month, or another 3,600 are coming, 1,200 of which won't sell. Inventory's climbing, buyers are going to have more options, buyers are going to have more leverage, negotiating power, and use that for buy downs. I mean, just talking with Rob throughout the week, people are getting rates in the 5s with buy downs, FHAs and VAs and stuff like that, but 6.5, it's not like everyone's getting 6.5s. That opportunity still exists for people. They might not know about it or what opportunity exists to have that, but people are getting 5s all the time with points normally, but those come from seller concessions. So, questions at all? Thoughts? Concerns? Share anything?
The biggest thing is I think people should shop lenders. I think I've had really good success with the last 3 three transactions I've done is they've shopped lenders, they've saved probably $3,000 just on additional credit they were able to get from the lender.
Mhm. Yeah.
Or equivalent rate,
Yeah.
adjustments.
So lenders are like anything else. There's wiggle room in their price. They're going to quote you the most expensive price. When you shop them, their prices come down. Everything on earth is the exact same. So like Shelby always says, when lenders compete for your business, you always win. So shop them, ask around. They all have margin built into their rates, and they will come down on stuff 100% of the time. So shop them. I had a thought there while you were talking. One cool thing here too. One of the biggest barriers to buying a home is not necessarily the extra $25 I'm gonna have to pay per month because my rate's 6.7 instead of 6.2 or whatever. It's the 10 grand I need to buy the home, right? And in this environment, inventory rising, balanced market, that's where that real barrier of actual cash in pocket and the real burden of buying home, cash out of my account, can be offset by lender credits, seller credits, concessions, all kinds of stuff. So the real burden can be taken care of. There's more opportunity for it. During the COVID periods where we were on the other side of this market, if you didn't have cash, or if you weren't removing your contingencies, or if you weren't doing all kinds of appraisal gaps, like you needed a bunch of money. VA buyers couldn't get houses because they knew they were putting 0% down. And I don't want to sell it to a person who has $0 to put down. So like this is an opportunity for buyers to overcome the real burden of buying a home, which is the thousands and thousands of dollars that it actually takes to buy the home. You can get that offset with concessions.
I got another success story that I wanted to share with people because I've been a little leery about HELOCs. In the past, I just never really came across one that actually just worked out well. And I just had a client that he's selling his house. Once he buys this house is worth about $430,000. He's got about $150,000 equity. When we look at doing a bridge loan versus a HELOC, and a bridge loan is going to cost about total cost plus payments about $3,500 almost. And he went to his Arvest Bank, and I was a little skeptical at first. I was like, I don't know about a HELOC, this, that.
It's gonna be like $1,200 or something.
It was $700
Yeah.
was his total cost for the HELOC.
Yeah.
And we thought, they said it was gonna take anywhere between 2 weeks and a month. So we were doing it was a 3-week close. So we were like, oh man, I don't know about this. And it's about to be closed and done in about almost right at 2 weeks.
Is he then gonna sell that house that he HELOC'd?
The HELOC, he put 20% down on the $600K property.
Mhm.
And then he's gonna pay the HELOC payment until he sells his house.
Yeah, right.
Just pay off.
But HELOCs are normally IO, so it's just going to deduct interest out of it.
Yeah.
And there's no real payment out of it. Yeah. So.
But it actually worked out way better than the bridge loan.
Yeah.
It was quicker and easier and less money out of pocket.
Yeah, if you've got the equity, HELOCs are going to be better. Normally, bridge loans, I don't think pull from equity. They're just unsecured
What
loans.
if somebody has equity in their property?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a great option that I kind of shied away from. That actually was a really great option.
Yeah, HELOCs are good. I have a HELOC.
What's the cost associated with the recast?
Last time I got quoted, it was like a $300 to $500, and it has to be over 10 grand.
I think do they send an appraisal out or no? I thought because
Not for a recast.
not for a recast.
Recast, you
There's
just
a
so-
yeah, $200 fee, and it has to be between month 3 and month 12. You can't do it in the first 90 days, I don't think.
So you couldn't just do it immediately.
No, they make you.
I think it's 'cause they're-
You have to make a couple payments. Oh, I know what. I think you might be able to, but the lender will tell you can't because they get chargebacks.
Shelby
I think the
said,
LO gets.
"Hey, if you call me month one, I'll do it, but I don't want to."
Yeah, I think the LO gets charged back. I think they lose their commission.
3 or 6 months.
Yeah, I think it's like I think you have to make 2 or 3 payments. So whatever month that you have to make, I think you have to make a certain amount of payments. Then you can call. Does everyone know what a recast loan is? This is something. Most conventional products are recast eligible. So if you don't have a ton of money, you got a house to sell, you might only have like 5% to put down. Well, if I put down 20%, my payment's lower, right? If I put down 5, that loan is locked in for 30 years. Even if I put another 20% down, the payment's still locked, right? It's a fixed mortgage. So a recast loan allows me to take money that I've come into, apply it to an existing loan, and it recasts the amortization schedule. So say I'm selling my home and buying, my bank only has 5% in it, my checking account, I've only got 5%. So I buy it with my 5% down, I sell my house that has another 15% equity in it. In the first year, I can take that 15% equity, even though I already own this house and have this loan, I can apply it towards it and it re-amortizes the whole payment. So my payment will it'll be as if I put 20% down the whole time. Versus if I live in a home for a couple years and I just put 100 grand down on my payment's the exact same. I'll pay it off faster, but the payment's the exact same. So this recasts your payment. Doesn't change your rate, doesn't change anything like that, but it recasts your payment, and so you can use money after, even after you've bought the house. So
Everything will be as if you had put that.
it'll be just as if you made the big down payment initially. So that's where it's like, well, I have to sell my home first. It's like, well, do you? Because if you have some equity to make this purchase, you can then sell it. Because buying and selling is a juggling act, especially in a market where if we price it wrong, it's 3-4 months on the market. If we price it right, it's 23 days. So if you have enough, if you have a home you love, you've got the equity, or you've got down payment of minimum 5%, sell it. Hopefully it doesn't take a year to sell your home. You can recast. It has to make sure. I think most conventional loans are recastable. FHA and VA, I'm unsure. I don't know if they are or not.
Shelby told me it was like $5,000 to $10,000. It has to be a good amount of money. It has to be worth
So the
re-amortizing.
down payment's just normal. So 5% on a conventional, 3.5. It's just a normal loan. But then you have to pay a fee to the servicer to recast the. But I don't think. I think 10 grand. They said.
But then once you get even to that 20, it'll drop your PMI.
Yeah. So yeah, if you got up to 20, it'd drop your PMI. Yeah. If it's FHA never drops PMI ever. VA doesn't have PMI.
What year does that change? 24?
No, that was a while. It was pretty. It was 20. I don't remember. It was 5+ years ago, I think. Because it used to fall off automatically at 25% LTV.
I remember there were some that did. Whenever I first
Before
started,
2019,
six-
because
No way, really?
Yeah, it was a while ago. The last 6 years.
during COVID.
It depends on your servicer too, because when I removed my PMI, I literally tried to remove it when it was changing from Mr. Cooper to Service Mac, and
Yeah.
I started talking to one company, and I literally called them, and 2 days later I got a letter in the mail like, oh, we're changing your servicer, and it's
Yeah.
a whole different process for that servicer, so it does vary from servicing company to servicing company.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start doing these. I think if there's anything else on here you want to see, let me know and I can start adding stuff. But there's just kind of some talking points I think are interesting, because when you're in front of a buyer, you don't really know what you're gonna experience until you get in front of a buyer and you're like, I don't want to do this, I'm afraid of this, or whatever. So some of these things you can just conversations you can have to get them to think, or to reframe the problem in their mind away from rate and towards monthly payment, right, or stuff like that.
I think realtors are the world worst at bringing up rate for no reason when it wasn't the client's
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's a good point.
Speak that into them and then get mad that they're hung up on it.
Yep.
Where like most of the time, any consumer of anything cares about the price. Or like monthly
So-
payment. And so if you just speak that, or if you're like, hey, you're advertising that you can get into a home 0% down, don't advertise that you can get rate buy down.
Mhm.
And you're like, oh, well, yeah, the rate is high, so I need buy down.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, if you want in a house for 0 down, this is how we can do it.
Yep. Really good point. This is something I've said for a long time. Agents, salespeople in general, they sell to themselves. So I'm afraid of rates. So everything I say is going to be trying to overcome the rate objection. But you never gave me the rate objection. So I'm just putting objections in your head. Does that make sense? Don't overcome an objection they haven't given you. Does that make sense? Most people, when they sell, they're selling to their own fears, their own desires, their own needs. If you tell someone, like, you should buy this house, your neighbors are gonna be so jealous of you. It's like, well, that's not what I want. Like, That might be what you want, but you're selling me something I don't want. And you're overcoming objections they don't have, and all you're doing is creating more roadblocks for yourself. So yeah, if you work with a person and they never say the word interest rate to you, right? They didn't say it. They know what they are. They talk to a lender. Don't overcome those objections. So just realize that the most the roadblocks, fears, objections, worries, a lot of, especially with newer agents, we always see like, they're going to ask me how many homes I've sold. No, they're not. One person in the entire career has ever asked me that. I think they're going to ask me that because I've sold 0 homes, right? That's my fear. That's what I'm overcoming in my head. They don't care. If I communicate well and present myself well, they have no reason to ask how many homes I've sold. So same thing. You're going to start to overcome these things that they're not even thinking. So don't give your client objections to then overcome. It's a bad idea. Be prepared to overcome them, but don't put them in your head. Most people put their own fears into the other person's mouth and try to overcome it. So that's a very good point, Sean. Thank you. So really, again, it's just about showing you some markets, what's changed, a 3-month trend, talking points for buyers, talking points for sellers, and then what to look for over the next 90 days. And that's kind of, again, the idea is if you can just regurgitate this in front of a client, they're going to be like, oh, okay, cool. Sean's got me. I don't have to ask every time I talk to him. He's watching it for me, right? So that's what this is for. This is say a little so that you don't have to say a lot. You know what I mean? In this instance, if this comes up in a conversation, if you have a buyer who's afraid to buy because of rate, or a seller afraid to list because of whatever, these are things you can use to overcome. But again, I thought that was something that AI gave me that I thought was really good was the changes in this market aren't changing if my home's going to sell, but if my overpriced home is going to sell. That's what's changing right now. We're not having homes sit on the market longer. Homes are still selling at the same rate. We're having overpriced homes sit on the market longer. So that's what's important. Price your home right. This is not a market to test the market to see if we have someone that wants it at this price. This is you're playing with fire. If you want to test the market, test your high price. You can. It's your home. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. But again, we're playing with fire here, and we don't want to be stuck on the market. So again, when talking with sellers that are kind of slow or they're dragging their feet, and like I think I want to list it in like 60 days, I would urge them, like right now, our market's trending to more and more inventory. Another 1,200 houses in excess are being added to the inventory every month. So if you want to list this in 60 days, we're going to be competing against another 2,500 listings. So speed is important right now. We're getting into the fall. We're getting into the winter. Inventory is climbing. Supply is retreating. Or if someone's on the fence, or if they are dragging their feet getting someone out to make a repair, I would create some urgency based on what numbers are showing us right now. So try to create a little urgency. You don't want to create any fear, but you want to create some urgency. I think that's all that I had to talk about. What else? Anything else, guys?
I feel like I'm gonna start telling listing agents to counter on offers, just so that I've had 2 now where we like put in, like just recently put in $25,000 off on a $300,000 house, and they immediately accepted it, and now my buyer's like,
Could have gone lower.
I don't think this is a good deal. Like,
Yeah.
they accepted it too soon, and it's like still it's
Have
not
I
a big deal.
have I talked to you about what I do?
An off record.
No. I'll just tell my clients they wanted to counter, and I fought for you. Yeah, and so that's a real thing. There's buyer remorse anytime someone just accepts an offer, especially if it's a low one. It's like, wow, crap. What do I not know? What did I miss? Could have gone lower. Well, are they building a prison in the backyard? What's going on?
Waited a long time to like get back to them. So like, well, they thought about it.
Yep, time will make them happier with the decision. But
Situation happened on a new build where I just, they accepted the first offer, but that's because well, I mean, I called these people 6 different times, and I negotiated
Yeah.
the bids and negotiated all these
Yeah.
things, so that way your first offer, so we're not doing
Yeah,
back
yeah,
and forth. And
yeah, that makes sense. Where we've done some negotiation beforehand, but yeah, I've done that before because I've had a client. I'm like, great news, they accept, and they're like, seriously? I'm like, yes, this is what you wanted, and so I kind of you have to. Same with same with sellers. If someone accepts an offer, they expect it's like, damn, I left money on the table. I don't feel like I've won. I feel like I left money on the table.
It's the same thing, like I post something on Facebook Marketplace and get 100
Yeah.
full retail.
Yeah, should have done more. Yeah, but that's where again I'll say, hey, they called me back. They were fighting me on this thing. I told them, you're firm though. I said, no way. I said, I don't think it's going to get done, and they agreed. It's like, oh hell yeah, okay, good job. But it's just like that. They have to make that. I have to feel like I've won. Two things that have to happen in negotiation in general. The other side has to feel like they've been heard, and then everyone has to feel like they've won. Whether they have or not, and it could be a small win, but they have to feel like they've been heard and they have to feel like they've won. And so reaffirming what people are saying and asking is important, and making sure they know that they won here. You know, they won this. Good news. They said no to our price, but they gave us this home warranty. We won. So, yeah, that's funny. That's good though. I mean, it's as long as there's nothing weird with the house or anything.
I mean, I think he's gonna bust it. It feels like it.
Seriously?
Had a buyer do, like, try to do that. There was a new construction home that was just set for, like, extra time. They were like, okay, I'm gonna ask for this much in closing costs, I'm gonna ask for this much on the price, and I'm gonna ask for the fence and the gutters and all this stuff that new construction doesn't normally do. And they were like, okay, except this one little adjustment. And they were like, really? I don't know. I don't know, you know, and then they were gonna send over like a signed counter, which was an adjustment, and they got another offer. So then we were in competition.
Yeah.